For those of you that are here right now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, that solved one problem.
All your friends go.
Somebody wrote nice background. Thank you. Yes, it's taken some practice getting a decent background. Luckily, lots of months doing this type of thing have helped. Thanks, though. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in this chair, so. And of course the plants. Oh, I mean, come on, right? If I didn't have at least one plant, you'd have to be sketched out, right? I'm supposed to teach you about plants. I should at least have a plant. All right. Let's see here. We'll wait a few minutes because I think, well, we have to anyways, but we'll wait a few minutes. For those of you that are here, were any of you able to access the Blackboard page already? Okay, yes, people have, great. That's good news too. Yeah, I put stuff up there. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. Oh, yes. So I just have an email. Somebody wrote in the chat box that they still don't have access. Yes, I think I emailed you last night. Once class is over, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, Tazier. Please correct me if I say your name is wrong.
No, that's fine. You're correct.
Oh, great. So once class is over, let's you and I talk about that. I want to troubleshoot a few things to see why you still don't have access.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, I'm just going to wait a minute or so more to give people a chance to come in. In the meantime, I will, good morning, Benjamin. In the meantime, I will share my screen. I think, can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, where did my chat, if I share my screen, do I lose my chat box? That's not cool. Wait, stop share. I gotta fix that. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so I guess I'll start things off. Why not? So first of all, thank you all for being here. I know this is not how we pictured our existence to keep going. It's been a rough year. I know. But this is where we're at, and it's been a rough year for so many things. I'm not even gonna get into everything because you've been around this last year. But I just want to say, just hang in there. Just hang in there. Just take it one day at a time. I'm going to teach you about some nice plants and yeah, so just, I know these are crazy times that we're living in. So just be strong and just take it one day at a time. So I will say, I know everybody here is like so excited that they're going to learn about plants, right? That was like the first class that you wanted to sign up for. You're like, okay, I don't care about any other class. I have to take a class about plants because that's the only thing I care about in the world. And that's the only thing I want to learn about, right? Maybe that's true for a few of you, but most likely than not, you probably have a different science-based discipline that you're going towards, and you had to take a class and it had to be about plants. But if that's you, welcome anyways, and I'm gonna make you a lover of plants by the end of the time that this class is over. That's my goal. Yeah, so my name is Rebecca Panko, or actually now I'm Dr. Panko as of not too long ago. Here, I'm gonna share this screen here, share. Yeah, okay. Hopefully you guys can see this screen that says Plant Kingdom with my email address. So this is my email address. Feel free to email me anytime. I'm usually very good about getting back to you with a short turnaround time. So, oh, thank you. Someone said congrats. Thank you, yes.
Learn about evolution.
And so if you're, I do have the ability
I'll
to
try to update those
people,
semester. This page is a bunch of
You know what,
articles about.
okay, so somebody, Andrew, you got to mute, buddy. Here, I'll mute you now. Okay, wow.
I'll add.
There we go. All right, yep. Okay, sorry, there's gonna be a little bit of that because I'm getting used to the whole like, so yeah. So anyways, I was saying, feel free to email me anytime. I'm usually very good about getting back in about 24 hours tops, unless it's something like the weekend. It might take a little bit longer, but don't hesitate to email me. Email me if you have any single questions. I do record these lectures, and no worries, Andrew, it's okay. And so they will be posted. And so in case you have any sort of technical difficulties and whatever it is, just know that these lectures will be ultimately, they're recorded and available for you to watch. But I do encourage you to come to class at the time, because this is when you can ask me questions. We'll also sometimes have like real-time question and answer things where you guys can participate, etc. Okay. All right, let's see if I go forward here. Yeah, so before I go into things, tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm actually the daughter of National Park Rangers. I grew up when I was a kid in New York City, and then because my parents were park rangers, we kind of like moved around. I spent a lot of time in Florida near the Everglades. And then when I grew up, I decided I wanted to work with plants. And so I've been working with plants now for over 20 years. I spent most of my adult life living in Brooklyn, New York, which I actually just moved from, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so plants are really cool. There's a lot of different types of jobs you can have studying plants, some of which require you to like kind of get dirty and live in a tent, but then some that require you to dress up looking nice and talk to people in a big fancy auditorium. So there's lots of different types of jobs of plants. And this can just a little bit about what I studied during my graduate work. So I studied the evolution of plants to urban areas. So urban areas are very dynamic areas. They're also very new areas, relatively speaking, in terms of the earth. So plants that live in them have to deal with a lot of different things. And so I studied this one cute little plant. It's called shepherd's purse, and looked at whether or not it was evolving or adapting locally to conditions in New York City. And so why did I study that? So I mentioned urban areas are kind of different and dynamic. And so one thing that makes them very unique is that they have a lot of what's called impervious surface. So impervious surface is surface that water can't go through. So like if it rains, the water doesn't go into the soil, it just floods. I mean, I know in my Brooklyn neighborhood, if there was like 1 inch of water, all the streets would flood. But it also makes it very droughty. So here is a map of New York City. And if we were to use a land cover map, you can see the darker red areas indicate 80% or more impervious surface. So you can see how impervious urban areas can be. Right. And so on the left, this is or left and right, this is what happens when you have a lot of impervious surface. You end up either with like super droughty soils, so like no moisture, or floods. And so if you're a plant and you have to live in that environment over time, you're going to have to adapt to dealing with that. Another thing urban areas have, at least in the Northeast, is a lot of salt application. So I think you guys had a big snow not too long ago. I know now it's pretty mild there. But you've seen this before when you're walking around. You see salt on the sidewalks. If you have a dog that you walk, you would sometimes like, oh no, like don't walk on that. So yeah, and that salt can make it into the soil and then increases the salinity of soil. So it's another thing that happens in urban environments. Why am I telling you all this? Well, because I'm proud. I am proud because during COVID in this spring, I defended my work and became Dr. Panko. So I couldn't, obviously it was COVID, so we didn't have any commencement. Yeah, we had a virtual thing, but you know how it goes. If you're senior this year, I know that's probably something you're concerned about. Thank you. Thanks, Vivian, saying congrats. Yeah, it was a big deal. It was something, all the odds were saying that I wasn't going to finish in time. My lab had to close. It was really stressful. I know that everybody else here also had stressful things that were going on in their life. But yeah, so this is my commencement walk. On the left is just me down in Brooklyn by the river. And then because I had no commencement stage walk, I did a pretty like dorky thing and ended up on this paddleboard somehow, which I didn't fall in. So that was also something I'm proud of. Okay. Now where am I? Well, I'm not in Brooklyn. I don't know. I'm still getting used to this. I lived in Brooklyn, like I said, for about more than 16 years. So I'm still a little bit out of sorts, but I'm in Michigan now. I'm in Michigan. And the reason I'm in Michigan is because now that I'm Dr. Panko, I'm actually working as a postdoctoral research associate at MSU for the Department of Plant Biology. So that's what I do when I'm not teaching, is I study plants, and I live in Michigan. And if you've ever been to Michigan, but it snows. It snows quite a bit. Very, very different existence than Brooklyn. I know it's cold. It's cold. It's cold and a lot less people and a lot less food and that. But anyways, hey, so speaking of, somebody mentioned in the beginning my nice background. So just so you know, I do live in Michigan, but I go back to New York City quite regularly because my husband is still there. So I will be flying to New York actually tomorrow. And so I will be teaching on Thursday from Brooklyn. So you won't see this nice background there. I'll be a little bit more sparse on that day. Okay. So now I know a little bit about me. Let's get into the class. So we're going to talk about the syllabus. The syllabus is on Blackboard. So if you haven't seen it already, that's fine, but go to Blackboard and see it and look at it. Important stuff there. Oh, and so as we go forward here, like you're already interacting in the chat box. If you have any questions, you could write them in the chat box, or you could write question in the chat box, and you can unmute and ask me directly if that's easier for you too. Okay, so we're going to go over the syllabus, and we're going to talk about the plant kingdom and why it's important to plants, and how that kingdom relates to other kingdoms, and the divisions of the plant kingdom, and then briefly discuss taxonomy. Yeah, so somebody wrote in the chat box, a big thank you for the free PDF copy of the book. Yes, so that's the first thing we're going to talk about, I think, is that, yes, I think, yeah, I'm still unmuted. Okay, good. Yeah, so this is what the syllabus looks like. If you have pulled it up already, it has the, the normal type of information that you would expect to see in a syllabus. I have a TA who's teaching the lab section, and we'll talk more about lab at a later date. We don't need to talk about it today. But just know, well, we'll talk about it a little bit, but just know the lab Zoom room hasn't been figured out yet. So I will update the syllabus as soon as that we have that sorted out. And yeah, boom, free copy of the book. So this is the book I've used. I've lectured this course. This is my 4th time lecturing this course. I always use this textbook because not only is this textbook awesome, this textbook is cheap as well. But you know what? I know the internet just like you guys. And so I just cut out the middleman and I found a free PDF copy of the textbook, and it's available on Blackboard. So you're welcome. COVID has caused a lot of different financial difficulties for a lot of different people, and textbooks are ridiculously expensive and college is ridiculously expensive. And so you won't have to buy any books for this class. You get the textbook is on Blackboard, and there is no lab manual or anything like that to purchase as well. We'll provide that to you for free. Well, yeah, as part of the class. So I hope more professors, and it says COVID update on this, but I'm going to keep doing this going forward because college is too expensive. College is too expensive. Books are too expensive. It's a sham. So free book for you. It's not a sham. It's important. Okay. So in addition to the text, I will also provide other things for you to read on Blackboard. Okay, attendance. Come to class. I understand sometimes you might have some issues or maybe even technological issues, but you got to come to class. I have to come, so you should come, right? You should come. It is part of your grade, attendance. So I do take attendance using the Zoom technology, and the lab instructor will as well. The reason I include attendance as part of your grade is because it helps boost your grade. It's an easy thing to do. You come and you get points for coming, right? So yes, please come. But again, I will post all of these, not only the slides, but also recordings of the lectures on Blackboard. Okay, turn in assignments. So we have assignments, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Turn them in, please. Turn them in, please. If you turn in an assignment late, it'll automatically be dropped a letter grade. And I don't accept assignments that are more than 2 days late. So just please turn them in. They're not meant to be hard. If you attend class and listen to me and look at the slides, they should be easy. Okay. Grades for this course. Here's what your grade will be, how your grade will be calculated. And this isn't all of the syllabus, by the way. These are just some of the highlights I wanted to point out. So there's going to be 2 lab exams. Each of them are worth 15%. There's going to be 2 lecture exams, each of which will be 15%. All assignments together are worth 20%. So what does that mean? It means that all the assignments together are worth more than 1 exam, right? So do the assignments. They're supposed to be easy. They just take, a little time. Showing up and participation, whatever. I mean, mostly just attendance. It's 5% of your grade. And then a lecture final exam, which is 15%, like all the other exams are 15% for a total of 100. Oh, before I say that, I will say, so like I said, this is the 4th time I've lectured this course. And I just want you to know that I usually have about 40 students per semester. And I'd say like probably almost half get A's in the course. And then maybe almost the other half get B's or C's. And then I usually out of 40 students only have like 1 or 2 D's or 1 or 2 F's. So this course is not meant to be hard. It is a lot of information, but it's a course. So just keep that in mind. If you're not doing well, check in with me, but This course is not designed to be hard. It's designed to be learning. Okay, this is kind of leftover from when we actually met in person. But yeah, if you're missing class, like don't expect to do well, I guess is the way to say this. I don't give extra credit, but I do, I do fluff in other ways. And the time to work is now. The time to work is now. We cover a lot of information. You're in a lot of other classes probably. You're also probably, you have a family, or you're taking care of your kids, or you work. I know, I get it. I did all those things too. Well, not the kids part, but I get it. So just work hard now. Start now, work hard now. Don't try to tune out for a month and then, it's an exam time and then, oh, what do you know? You don't do great, Just take it. It's too much information to cram. And I say this every semester, but I'll say it again. It's too much information to cram. You can't cram this class. I'm sorry, you just can't. There's too much information. So the way to do well is you just got to take it in little bits. You take it in little bits as you go along the course of the semester. And then when things like an exam comes, you're ready and prepared. So do not try to cram. That's my tip. That's my tip. This is so if you pull up the lectures or the syllabus, this is what you'll see. So this kind of gives you an overview of what the lecture will cover. Just to help you get oriented a little bit here. So on the left, you see a date, then there's a lecture number. Note the lecture numbers because here, I'll try to annotate. Ooh. Note the lecture number. So like today's lecture is lecture number 1, because when we have assignments, it tells you what lectures are covered in the assignments. And likewise, when we have exams, I don't know if you can see down here, it tells you what lectures are covered in the exam. So note that. The other thing is, it says here chapters. These are from the textbook. I am not expecting you to read chapter 1 and chapter 12. I'm not expecting you to do that. I will give you in the lecture basically the information that you need. But if you need more clarification on a certain topic, or you want to see a different version of a diagram or something like that, these are the chapters that you should refer to. These are the chapters you should refer to. But no, I don't expect you to just go and read 2 chapters. No. Okay. Oops. How do I get rid of that thing? Get out of here. All right, good. All right, good. Okay, let's move forward. Here is what you'll see for the lab. Oh, well, not all of it, but this is the first part of the lab syllabus. Please note, there is no lab this week. There is no lab this week. No lab on Friday. The first lab starts following week on the 29th. Okay, so no lab this week. We'll post all the stuff that you'll need for the lab will be posted on Blackboard. So you don't have to buy anything. Yeah, okay. And don't cheat. Please don't cheat. Please don't cheat. Please don't plagiarize. Please don't cheat. You know that you already know this stuff, but just don't. Please don't. Read the syllabus. When this class is over today, pull up that syllabus. Pull up your calendar, whether it's an old like paper calendar that you write into or your phone. Put the dates of the assignments and the exams in your calendar today so that you are aware of them. You can plan your time accordingly. Okay, I think that's all the shop talk. It is. Whew, good. Okay. Clear out this syllabus air. Okay. Plants. That's why we're here, is plants. So why plants? Who cares? Plants are stupid. They don't talk. They don't have big, nice eyes. They're not fluffy. Can't pet them. You can pet them, but most of them don't like that. But why? Why plants, right? Why are plants important? There's a few different ways that you can consider why plants are important. There's a few different ways. So one way is by looking at them in a biological way. So what do I mean by that? Well, plants do stuff for the things that live on Earth. So for example, plants fix carbon. So they take carbon out of the air and they fix it to be able to be used in other ways. And it's not like fixing a car, right? We'll talk about it in a second. This is how it fixes it. So what does it do? Plants take CO2 gas. So plants absorb CO2 gas from the air. And then using the sun and water, they turn CO2 gas into sugar. What incredible. I wish I could do that. You know how much time I would save from not having to prepare meals? Just like get some carbon dioxide, little sun, maybe a little water, and boom, I made sugar. Awesome. So what this means is that from a biological standpoint, plants are super important because they provide molecules that we use. One of them is sugar that we eat and a lot of all the other animals eat, right? So sugar in the form of usually glucose. But the other molecule that plants make is via this process of photosynthesis, which we'll talk about at a later date. Don't worry about it too much now. They release oxygen as a byproduct. So into the plant goes CO2 gas, sunshine, water, photosynthesis happens. This is my photosynthesis. And then on the other side, molecules, glucose or sugar, and oxygen, which we breathe. So that's pretty important. Oh, whoa. Sorry. I got excited just because of the photosynthesis. The other thing, yeah, that's what I just said, right? So oxygen produced as a waste product and we breathe that. So that's pretty useful. Thanks, plants. Okay. So that's a biological view is one way to look at why plants are important, but we could also look at an anthropocentric view. Anthropocentric is a fancy way of saying from a human standpoint, right? From a human standpoint. So if you're a human, some of the things you might like that plants do for you are that they give us food. And actually we were able to make civilizations because we figured out how to domesticate plants. So if I go forward here, yes. So multiple times all around the world, humans figured out that they could domesticate and store the products of plants. And once that happened, and that those events happened around 10,000 years ago, but once that happened, huge civilizations were able to be built, huge. And here's some examples, right? 3 staples of civilization come from grasses. So in the Americas, particularly Central and South America, corn, right? In Asia, rice. And then, and I'm not trying to say that rice only happened one time in one place, right? It's just for the purposes of this diagram. But there were multiple events. But the main reason is I want to highlight rice, wheat, and corn, because once people figured out how to grow those, the nice thing about rice, wheat, and corn is if you harvest the fruit, which is shown here, you can store it in a airtight or sealed container. And as long as you keep it dry, it'll last for a really, really, really long time. So if you make enough one season and then you store a lot, if the next season it's bad conditions and the rice doesn't grow well or the corn doesn't grow well, it's okay because you store all those fruits from the grasses and you can continue your civilization. So super important. Oh yeah, and just because I keep calling them fruits and you're like, Rebecca, that's not a fruit, that's like a seed. And it's like, okay, I get it. We'll get to there eventually, but just so you know, oh yeah, just so you know, so rice, wheat, and corn are fruits. So those little things, those little yellow kernels and those are actually fruits that come from grasses. And the name of that is a caryopsis. That's how you say that, caryopsis. So thanks, grass. Thanks, grasses. for civilization. Another way that plants are important to people, right? Anthropocentric view to people is that we make fuel from them. So we use them in a lot of different ways to make fuel. We can just burn plants, right? And cook stuff on it or heat our homes that way. My folks live in kind of a rural part of Connecticut, and the main way that they heat their house is just by heating wood in a wood stove. But even if most people don't have a wood stove in the city, right? I definitely didn't. So we still use plants in other ways for fuel, for example, fossil fuels. So a lot of times you think of fossil fuels and you might think dinosaurs, right? Oh yeah, fossil fuels are from dinosaurs. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, there's probably some dinosaurs in there, but there was a lot more plants back then than there were dinosaurs. And so when you think of fossil fuels, oh yeah, and I give you this nice schematic at the bottom here. I'm gonna move some of this. I got chat box up, I got participant, I got so much stuff, I have to keep moving stuff. Yeah, this nice schematic on the bottom shows you. So there's some plants, prehistoric plants, and they would have died. And here I'll annotate. Oh, you'll learn from me that I love to annotate. I'm not good at annotating, but I do love to do it. So just fair warning. All right, so here's our plants in prehistoric time. They die. All right, now they're in the ground. And then over time, see, time, and increased pressure, and therefore increased heat as well. Eventually you end up with, believe it or not, coal. And that is how we get fossil fuels. And fossil fuels are still pretty important to our infrastructure as of right now. Another way that we use fuels from plants is via biodiesel. So this is a pretty funny drawing, honestly. Like, okay, like this is not really this is a glorified idea of what biodiesel is with little leaves shooting out. But you get the idea. The point is that we can also make gasoline from plants. It's funny. All right, moving on. Whoops. Okay. We also build things from plants. We build houses from plants. We make clothes out of plants, right? If you've ever worn cotton or linen or flax, those are all from plants. Sorry about that, it's my calendar. We build homes from plants, and we make paper from plants. And I know we're using increasingly less paper these days, but we still use it. And the majority of that comes from actually conifers, which we'll talk about in a later class. But we also make paper out of cotton and rice and hemp as well. Whoa. And then another way that plants are important for humans is via medicine. So this is one example. This species of plant is used to make quinine, which is something that can be used to treat and prevent malaria. This cute Madagascar periwinkle is something that can be used to make cancer medicines. And then probably most familiar with this out of the three of these examples, this is opium poppy, which is used to make opioids, which, sorry, I'm just getting comfortable, for pain medication. Yeah, periwinkle is cute. Okay, so sum it all up, right? Why are plants important? Well, they fix the carbon out of the atmosphere and turn it into food. So that's the basis of our food chain for humans as well as all the other animals on Earth. They make oxygen, which is a waste product for them. They're like, get out of here, I don't need this, which we use and breathe, right? We use and breathe oxygen. We were able to build civilizations because we domesticated plants. We use them for fuel. We build our houses and make clothing out of them, right? We make medicines out of them. And even way more stuff that I didn't even talk about today. So why is there a whole class based on plants? Because plants are important, guys. Plants are important. and awesome, by the way. All right. Now we'll talk a little bit about life on Earth, right? Life on Earth. So we have this word biosphere, and you might have heard the word biosphere. What's that old movie? There's a movie about it. People lived in it, I think. But anyways, the word biosphere means, so you have bio, which means living, and sphere, which means circle, living circle. And so it refers to all of the life that is on all the parts of Earth that have life on them, all the parts of Earth that have life on them. So these are the parts of the biosphere. You have the atmosphere, you have the hydrosphere, you have the lithosphere, which is like the rocks, and then you have the ecosphere. And the majority of life occurs in the hydrosphere and the ecosphere, right? So biosphere is the word, biosphere. And when you look at the biosphere and the parts of it, all of the life that occurs in the biosphere is divided into 3 domains. So you have 3 domains of living organisms in the biosphere. They are bacteria and archaea. Those are 2 domains. And those include the prokaryotic microorganisms. Don't worry about that too much, because we're interested in the other domain, which is Eukarya. Eukarya. Eukarya is all of the eukaryotic organisms, including us. So if you were to look at the domain, so you have the biosphere, and then there's 3 domains in that biosphere: bacteria, archaea, and Eukarya. If you were to take Eukarya, because you care, right? No, I'm sorry. Eukarya, no, all right, too much coffee. If you were to take Eukarya and look at the kingdoms inside, I got you guys. Hey, you're listening. That's good. Sorry. Yeah, but if you were to take Eukarya, right, and look at the parts of it, you would have these kingdoms. Kingdoms. Oh, what's the name of the class? Plant kingdom? That's right, guys. So yeah, so you have these kingdoms are in the domain Eukarya. You have Protista, which is the protist, fungi, which is mushrooms and fungus, Animalia, which includes us, and then of course Plantae, which is the plant kingdom. Hence the name of the class, Plant Kingdom. Okay. So we don't care too much about these other these other kingdoms in this domain, but we'll go through them just so you can see a picture. So here's what protists look like. You may have seen protists if you've ever seen algae or cleaned out your shower or left a bag of lunch in your backpack. Yes, protists. Fungi, something else you might have seen if you left your lunch in your backpack, right? Okay, so mushrooms, yeasts, molds, and mildews are your fungi, right? Animals, oh, look, eyes. Oh, they have eyes and some of them are fuzzy and little faces. Oh, we love them. Oh, animals. No, sorry. As a plant person, I bristle at the animals. But yes, cute, beautiful little animals are one of the kingdoms. And then lastly, the plants. Plant kingdom, which is part of the domain Eukarya, right? Which is one of the domains of 3 of them in the biosphere, right? Plant kingdom. Okay. So plant kingdom is big, real big. To date, there's about 400,000 species of plants that are known, about, give or take. That's a lot. That's actually a lot. And if you were to look at all of those hundreds of thousands of plant species, the vast majority of them are in the flowering plants. So 94% of plants that are known are flowering plants, right? Plants that have flowers on them. And even though it's 2021, we still discover new plant species every year. Every year we scientifically name new plant species, and the average is about 2,000 each year. So I'm going to try to click on this just to see if this works. So bear with me, because we're all learning this together. Okay, can you see this thing that says BBC News? No. Everyone says no. No. Okay, all right, hold on. New share. Here we go. Okay, share. Can you see it now that says Secret Life of Plants? Okay, good. So you can watch this little video later if you want. This is a little video about this woman, scientist, who she does botanical drawings of newly discovered species. But just to show you down here, right? So these are things, when is this from? 2018? Yep, 2018. Every time you pull up an article, kids, make sure you look at the date. Tip. Okay, so look at this. Wow, an herb found in a waterfall. What? So that's a plant, believe it or not. And this was newly discovered and found in a waterfall in 2018. Some of you might have heard of carnivorous plants, so plants that eat insects and other small animals. So look, in 2018, in New Guinea, we discovered a whole new species of pitcher plant, which is a type of a carnivorous plant. Whoa, that's cool and pretty. Potential cancer curing plant discovered in 2018, right? Look at how cute, super cute. Discovered, named new to science in West Africa, etc. So look at these. These are just all examples of plants, some highlights of plants discovered in 2018. So I'm just making the point that, we discover plants every year. Discover meaning new to science. And we will talk more about that word discover as we move forward. But know that when I say discover, I mean new to science, because just because it's discovered by science does not mean it's new to certain people. People most likely did know about it, just not scientists. So it's important to make a distinction about that. Okay. So I just showed you a few examples from 2018. This is a synopsis of newly described species in the Americas from 1753 to 2015. And so if you look, you have year on the bottom, or the x-axis, a number of species. Ooh, great opportunity to annotate, right? Here you go, number of species. Over here, you got year on the bottom. And so what this is showing you is across time, each blue bar is the number of species that were described to science that year. And this black line, well, now it's a purple line because I just did that, sorry. But this black line is if you were to add all those species up over time, all the blue lines up. And so the reason I'm showing you this is just how much of the almost 400,000 species that we know of so far, a lot of them are from the Americas, right? Like you can see a lot. Okay, oops, there's still little doodads there. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Get out of here, there we go. All right. Oh, okay, so plants, right? Like they're important for different reasons. They're part of the Eukarya domain, plant kingdom. They are discovered every year, but unfortunately, plants are also at risk. They are at risk. And we as evolutionary biologists have this term that's Anthropocene. Anthropocene. So you saw the word anthropocentric on a previous slide, right? For like a view of the human view. So anthro means human, like anthropology, right? And Anthropocene means the epoch of humans, because that's what we're currently in right now as a world. And because of lots of reasons, human activity, we are actually dealing with an extinction event that is bad. So we're in a sixth. We've as a planet, we've had to our knowledge 5 mass extinction events so far, and we think right now that we're actually in the 6th one during this Anthropocene, because we're seeing very high extinction rates across taxa, which means across all different organisms, but including plants. And so our extinction rate now is as highest as it's been since the last known extinction event, which was the dinosaurs. So there was a study by the IUCN. What is the IUCN? I always forget that acronym. It's the International, hold on, I got it right here. International Union for Conservation of Nature. They did a study a few years ago and looked at 13,000 species of plants. Most of them were relevant to humans, right? So like used for medicine or other things like that. And of those 13,000 that they looked at, 70% were threatened with extinction for various reasons. And one thing we're going to read in this class, and it's available on Blackboard already, but there's also a link for it here, is this State of the World's Plant and Fungi report. So every year, the Kew Gardens and its many partners put out this State of the World's Plants. And in 2020, they included fungi along with it. And there's some pretty good information in there about this whole slide that I'm showing you here. So that's something we're gonna read through this semester. And it's kind of like reading a magazine. Like sometimes the whole page is one picture, right? Like, so don't get worried. It's not heavy reading. But more seriously, of these threatened species, the majority of the threatened species are threatened with extinction because of human activities. Like what? Like if I have a party, I'm gonna have plants go extinct, right? If I go shop, no, it's not like those kind of activities. It's other types, right? But human activities nonetheless. So this is a slide from that IUCN study. And you can look at that study in more detail if you click on that link. But so some of the main things that are threatening plants and putting them at risk for extinction are agriculture and aquaculture, so cultivating plants for human purposes, biological resource use, and natural system modifications. Those are kind of fancy words for saying stuff like habitat destruction or deforestation, things like that. Timber harvesting, peat bog harvesting. So changing the landscape for human purposes. And then another way is with just development, hence why I study evolution of plants in urban environments, because residential and commercial development are also activities that are putting plants at risk for extinction. So gives you an idea of how these things are happening, what things are putting plants at risk for extinction. Okay, so this is why we have this class. This is why we have this class. This class is at risk of extinction. You know, when I started teaching this class, I was still a grad student, obviously. I mean, this is my first time teaching it as a doctor, as it were. But the reason I stepped up and was like, no, don't let it die, is because this class is important. It's really important. We don't think about plants enough. And it's really important that we appreciate plants. We pass plants every day. I don't care if you live in the most developed part of a city. You walk by probably 100 plants every day. Don't even know it. So it's important to appreciate them. They do stuff for us. And it's important to advocate for sustainable practices and conservation efforts about plants. And that's my moment, because I study plants and they are important, but should be said. Okay, we're wrapping it up, guys. We're almost done. I know you're like, what? She's teaching on the first day? Well, yeah. All right. Plant kingdom. So plant kingdom, right? It's one of the kingdoms in the domain Eukarya, right? Which is one of the domains in the biosphere, right? And the plant kingdom itself is divided up in two parts. And the purpose of this course is we're going to go through each part or each division of the plant kingdom. So this schematic here gives you a roadmap of where we will go. And if you look at the syllabus, you'll see very first part of the semester, we will talk about the non-vascular plants. And then eventually we will move up into the vascular plants, where we'll talk about plants that shed spores instead of seeds. And then eventually we'll talk about seed plants. Yes, some plants don't make seeds, guys. These plants, sorry, not that one. Go away, go away. These plants don't make seeds. These plants don't make seeds. What? That's right. So we'll learn about that. I thought all plants made seeds. No. But then eventually, toward the end of the semester, we'll get to the seed plants, which is with the gymnosperms and the angiosperms. This is the roadmap for the course. So we'll see this schematic several times over the course of the semester. Okay. Before we break for the day, we have to talk briefly about taxonomy. Taxonomy, which might be a new word for some of you. If it is, don't freak out. That's the thing about this class. There will be some big words that you maybe have never seen before. Don't ever worry. I'll walk you through it. And the only way we learn big words is if we see them. So that's why we see them, okay? So biological taxonomy, what is that? It's a fancy way of saying we name stuff. We name stuff in science. And as we saw on the previous slides, right, with the domain, so some of these terms like domain and kingdom might already look familiar because we've come across them, right? Domain, Eukarya, plant kingdom, right? Those are part of that biological taxonomy. But there's also these other things, right? Phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. When I was in grade school, the way that we memorized this was King, I know this is like dating myself, but King Philip came out for good sandwiches. Anyways, that's how we memorized it when I was coming up. But anyways, I just want you to know that this is a thing, because when we talk about plants, we'll often be talking about them as a species, or sometimes we might be talking about their genus or their family or their phylum. So it's important that you know where these terms are coming from. So let's take an example of a human being, right? So human beings are in the domain Eukarya, right? Eukarya. And they're in the animal kingdom. Human beings have a vertebrae, right? We're vertebrates, so we have a spinal cord. We are mammals. We are in the order primates. And our genus is Homo. And if you were to say the species name for a human being, you would say Homo sapiens. That is the species name. Every single human being on Earth is a Homo sapiens, because that's our species name. Species name. So that's an example with humans. Let's do, and just some stylistic things. So phylum is singular. If you see the word phyla, that means many, it's plural, right? Many phyla. One phylum, many phyla. Likewise, one genus, many genera. So you will see these words phylum and genera going forward in subsequent lectures, but I just want you to know what they are. Okay, so we saw an example with human beings. Let's see an example with plants. So here's our cute Madagascar periwinkle from before. right? The one that we can make cancer medicines out of. So similar to the humans, right? Domain Eukarya, but now we're in the plant kingdom. And if you were to say this plant is in the genus Catharanthus, don't worry about that. You don't need to know that, but I'm just, remember with the humans, it was Homo. And if you were to say the species name of this, it's the Catharanthus roseus. Remember with the humans, it was Homo sapiens, right? So one thing you should notice right away is that the first part of a species name is always the genus word, same word. So like Homo is our genus, Homo sapiens is our species name, right? So that's something you should notice. Okay. Here. Okay. Yeah, so much like most of science over the years, many things are credited to like old white dudes. That's changing now. It's changing now, but yes, we have to give Carl Linnaeus here a little bit of props because he is the one who came up with this naming of organisms. He was a Swedish botanist, a zoologist, and a physician. And he mostly, I think because of his physicianness, he decided, we need a better way to describe organisms. Because think about it, if you're making medicine out of something and you want to tell a colleague somewhere else how to make that medicine, you better be talking about the same stuff. Like you can't just be like, yeah, take that purple flower and you grind it up. No, you have to be super, super, super specific, especially if you're going to be doing things like making medicine. So Carl Linnaeus, thank you. He made this thing called binomial nomenclature. And what that means, binomial nomenclature, that's too long and scary. So binomial, bi means two, nomial means name. So you have two name. Nomen means name again. And clature means a classifying system. So if you were going to say binomial nomenclature in not big words, you would just say a two-name naming system. It's a two-name naming system. So each species name is unique to that species and consists of two parts, right? Binomial, two-name naming system. And those two parts are the genus and the specific epithet. So we go on to the next. Whoopsie daisy. This is from our previous examples, right? Homo sapiens, two words describing one species, right? Homo sapiens. And the plant we looked at, Catharanthus roseus. Oopsie, whoa, sorry. And just as a reminder, the first word of the species name is the genus. And the second word is what we call the specific epithet. Okay. This is something I'm not going to go through it completely right now, but I just wanted to show you that there is a specific way to correctly, properly write a species name. There's a proper way. They have to either be underlined or italicized. So here you see it's underlined, here you see it's italicized. The first word is always capitalized. The second word is never capitalized. Yeah. Sometimes if you've already referred to something, you'll see SP, or sorry, you'll just see, sorry, if you've already referred to something, like if you're like, oh, long ago, Homo sapiens did stuff. And anyways, H sapiens, so you don't have to say the thing over and over. You could just, so you might see, I'm telling you this stuff because you're going to see it in the lab manuals and stuff. So that's why I'm giving you a heads up. Sometimes if you're talking about all of the species in one genus, you'll just put this SP, right? So if there were other species of humans, which there aren't, they're just Homo sapiens. But if there were, you could say like Homo SP. See, this just means species in the genus of this. Okay. I know probably most of you guys are asleep right now, so we're almost done. Okay, Yeah. Oh, we are done. Haha. See, I knew it. Okay. So that was the first class. I know you're probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Please don't feel overwhelmed. It's going to be a fun class. I'm going to teach you guys a lot of stuff. I do want you to, so remember that state of the world's plants thing I mentioned earlier. So for homework, I do want you to read the pages 2 through 9 of that. Again, there's a lot of pictures. So it sounds like, oh my gosh, 7 pages. Like some of the pages are all of a picture. So it should only take you about maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little longer to read, maybe. Depends on how fast you read, I guess. But yes, please read that for homework. It's available on Blackboard. And the next class, we're going to talk about one of the core concepts of Plant Kingdom, which is alternation of generations. So with that, I will end today's class. If you have questions, you can feel free to ask me them here, or you can send me an email. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for joining me today. And the slides, so I have a question in the chat box. Will the slides be posted? Absolutely, they will be. In fact, these slides will be available around 11:30 this morning. So yeah, thank you guys so much. If there's any other questions, yay, all of you have a great day too. Stay positive. Oh yay, we have somebody who actually does study plants, hooray. Yay. But thank you guys so much. If you have any questions here, I'll wait a couple of minutes to see. And then I should mention, in addition to the slides being posted, these lectures are recorded and will be posted as well. So you can refer back to them as if you want to hear me talk more, but it will be there if you want to. Okay. I'm going to end this meeting. For anyone else who has any questions, please email me, okay? Rebecca, I'll put it in the chat box. Rebecca.panko@rutgers.edu. Oops. Oh.
Professor, are we still meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
Regarding my course?
Yeah. Let's meet. I'm going to end this meeting because it's recording, and then you and me meet separately, okay?
Okay. So are you going to send me like the link for the Zoom meeting? Thank you.
I'll do that. Because I need
a
few minutes. So I'll send you it and we'll talk in a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Actually, I think my problem is just like very small because I registered for class yesterday morning at 7 because it was like full and I was in the waiting list. So I got my SPN number yesterday in the morning.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to look at the roster to see if you're showing up, and it could be something with that. But let's talk in like about 10 minutes.
Of course, no problem. Thank you.
All right. I'll send you a link.
Okay, thank you. See you then.
Bye.
Professor?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are you still giving out SPNs?
Okay, so I don't have the ability to give SPNs out. That is something that comes directly from the department. So what you need to do is you need to contact the undergrad advisor at Rutgers, which is Dr. Susan Seipel.
Yes. Okay.
Do you know her email address?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, so Dr. Susan Seipel is the person who is the keeper of the SPNs. And so if there is a way to get you in the class, or if you have a friend who's trying to get into the class, ultimately, Dr. Susan Seipel is the person who is able to do that if it's possible.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
If anyone else has any questions, just feel free to email me, okay? I'm ending. Bye.